Hey artsy friends, welcome to my second composition notebook art journal series. Today I'm playing around with masking tape. I'm getting toward the end of my art journal, and so the left side, the beginning pages, are getting super thick. But with a composition notebook, you can kind of flip it back on its spine and it lays pretty flat. So I had ordered these 4 different widths of masking tape. I think they came as a set, probably on Amazon, I don't remember. So I am just going to block off some grid patterns on my pages. My original thought was doing something like making a plaid, but that's not what I ended up doing. So I'm just going to mark some grids off with the masking tape, just using different widths, varying it. And then I'm going to use some makeup sponges and paint in each of the blocks. Now I'm going to bring in some stencils and try to figure out what I want to put where. I kind of like these waves. So I'm going to come over the top with this lime green color. I'm going to use a piece of tape just to make sure that my stencil doesn't move around too much, because it's kind of a tricky place because it's curved because of the just how thick the pages are. So instead of just a cross grid, I want to kind of make it varied in size. So a little bit like a Fibonacci, you know that guy? Or maybe like a Frank Lloyd Wright, you know how he's got all these really cool different angles. Okay, time for more stenciling. I can vary the stencil pattern and the colors I choose to go over. So like this like light turquoise color looks great over the purple, I think. And so I'm just going to move my stencil around, and I'm going to try the same color but over the, what is it, the yellow? Yeah, I think it looks good on the yellow too. So playing around a little bit. It's kind of like a delayed gratification effect because I'm like overlapping the tape. So it feels a little bit sloppy, but I know that once everything's dry and I like pull up the tape, it's going to be like, ooh, so satisfying. So now I'm using the same purple that I did for the base on some of the other little grid blocks, rectangles, whatever you want to call them. I should really learn my terminology, huh? Okay, now for the fun part. This is the satisfying part, when you peel back the masking tape to reveal your ultimate grid. Why is that so satisfying? I don't know, but it really is. And I'm really happy with the way that it peeled off very nicely on this cheap composition notebook paper because, you know, sometimes when you work with cheap materials, they kind of rip and do things they're not supposed to, but it worked really well. So this is fun. I might have to do this again. And as I'm kind of laying down that piece of masking tape and seeing all the paint that I got on it, it kind of looks like washi tape or something. And I thought, you know what? I think I might do something with that. So instead of just throwing it out, I'm going to start putting it down on another page and see what happens. So I'm just going to flip it. Lately, a lot of my pages have started with kind of leftover material from a previous page. Like if I have too much paint on my tray or something and I don't know, I don't like just watching it dry and go to waste. So I'd rather just smush it on the next page or whatever. So now I'm kind of doing that with the masking tape and it's really cool. I'm really liking just messing around with the composition of layering these lines on top of each other. So now I'm going to go back and actually use the pieces that I peeled off first that I didn't do anything with. Oh, it's so satisfying. So I really like that tape grid. I think I would just leave that page as it is. I might end up doing that. I don't know. But I have some paint left on my sponges, so I'm going to rub them off on the opposite page, which I don't know how that's going to turn out because usually I do a 2-page spread. So now I've got the tape on the right and I don't know if I want to leave it or if I'm going to do something more to that page. We'll see. Tune in next time. And I have my handy dandy organic spinach lid that I turn into a paint tray. I'm getting black out because I am going to draw some flowers with my Posca markers. And I'm picking some of the colors that are kind of already on the page. And then I'm going to make some flowers and then hopefully I'm going to make them pop off the page. Okay, before I cut out my flowers or do anything more with them, I wanted to add a little bit more black to the background. I am using a larger Posca marker to make dots along the wider lines, the negative space of the where I use the masking tape, and then going in with just a smaller Posca marker to make smaller dots on the smaller lines. I don't know. I figured if I'm going to use some black accents to pop out, I wanted to have just a little bit of black in the background. Okay, now I want to add a quote, and I thought maybe bringing in some kind of wave lines would make kind of like, I don't know, a contrast stick out with all of my, right angles and straight lines. So I am putting the quote from Jack and Diane. Little ditty about Jack and Diane. John Cougar Mellencamp, 80s. Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Yeah. When you're young, you think like you're going to live forever and all the world's an adventure, and then life just keeps going. Okay, so I got it all cut out, and it looks really cute, but it is wider than my page. So I thought, okay, well maybe if I cut up each line, I can fit them on somehow, but they're still sticking out way more. And I'm not even really sure I'm loving the wave. So it's a little frustrating, but I wanted to show you my process, even when I decide to nix a whole idea, because I'm just moving things around going, okay, how can I use this quote? It's fun. I like the quote. I like the waves, but it's just, I don't know. So then I think, okay, I think I'm just going to have to redo it so that it fits. So maybe I'll do maybe something of this, but then I'm thinking it just covers up too much of the background. Well, maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller. Ooh, I kind of like that. Like that. That looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it over here and do it vertical instead of horizontal. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller. And then voila. Look at that scrap that I made. I thought, ooh, I love that. Look at these scraps. Oh my goodness. They're so cool. I love them. So I'm going to do something with those. I mean, forget the huge black blob. I am going to keep cutting up and making these little, they almost look like mustaches. Yeah. Ooh, doesn't that look cool? So I'm loving that. And then I will figure out a way to bring in my quote on these little mustache waves, and I'll move my flowers around so they just look kind of fun and cool. And it's neat because you can kind of play around with the background too, about where you place the flowers. Do I want them at intersections? Do I want them, right in the middle? Do I want things that are more symmetrical, or do I want everything to just kind of have its own little wild and crazy look to it? So yeah, it almost looks like, oh, maybe a little zebra. It looks a little bit zebra-ish. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite my quote on these skinny little pieces. And I had a hard time like keeping my skinny little pieces from moving, and I didn't want to put my finger on it because then I would smudge the ink that I just wrote on. So I used the palette knife to kind of keep it in place so I could get it on there. It was a little tricky, but I did it. Oh yeah. Life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. So I have this really old bottle of like dollar store glitter glue that I used on another page, and I really liked how it turned out. So I am using it again. I'm just scooping it out with a handle of an old brush. So because it's all like dried and gloopy, but it's still sticky and it still has glitter. So I'm just using my finger because I want my flowers to be pretty and sparkly. So sometimes when I have a lot of elements that just come off the page, I like to frame it in. So I'm just framing it in with a thin black line, and then I'm going to go over a few of the areas and add just some dots to kind of, I don't know, just add a little bit more interest there. So I'm looking at it going, okay, just needs a little more. Actually, I saw a little spot where my lines didn't match up, and that's what gave me the idea to be like, oh, I could add like a couple little dots there. I mean, sometimes that's kind of fun. Or you could do like little heartbeats or little dashes, or, you know, so it still frames it in, but then it just adds just a touch more little detail. That's kind of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that you enjoyed watching my process and that you're inspired to go make some art. And I hope that you come back and hang out with me again. May God bless you.